This is PokéMON FireRed for the Game Boy Advance. There's also PokéMON Leaf Green if you're playing that version, both of which are remakes of PokéMON Red and Blue, the first games in the series, or PokéMON Red and Green if you lived in Japan. Before I get too far, with me today is my friend Loka.
Hello.
Alright, so the game is just going to explain itself for a bit. PokéMON FireRed is actually Generation 3, which means there's a whole lot of quality of life stuff in comparison to the original game. Like, better looking stuff. But also a whole lot of guides.
With quality of life, how dare they try and make the game more fun.
Curse them. Also, there are a whole lot of guides if you press L or R, and that has ruined so many takes for me. I'm not going to be showing that, I just felt I should let you know, because sometimes I just accidentally pressed shift when I'm playing, and that's the worst.
Look, if you've done everything right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. You have to let them know what a mistake looks like so that this looks better.
So anyway, Professor Oak here is just explaining a lot about the world. Some people have their pets beat each other up. He just studies them, though. Go away, Nidoran. I only needed you for that. So, one of the other quality of life things is, in this version of the game, they actually added a female character. You could only play as a boy in the original game. Red, of course, which is a fairly well-known sprite. I think his design's fairly popular. If I remember correctly, it was also supposed to be androgynous?
Huh. I know there were plans to add a female character to play as, but it fell through for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of believe that because because Pokemon Red and Green are kind of a mess programming-wise.
Yep. And then we also have this jerk. He's your rival character, and we were rivals since we were babies. That doesn't sound great.
You might have to explain these names to me.
I pretty much just chose names for no specific reason.
Alright.
Looks like a Hideki to me.
We have to stop him before he makes Ava.
Alternatively, he banned me on Twitter.
Oh wait, goddamn, that's the Hideaki, not Hideki. Fuck. I mean, darn. I'm not swearing at Pokemon.
Also, for some reason, in the original game I believe that console's an SNES, but for some reason they changed it for an NES in the remake.
Oh.
Usually the console is like whatever latest console Nintendo has at the time, like you'll see a Wii U and Pokemon X, stuff like that. But yeah, here it's an NES. Also significant, most of these options are self-explanatory, except Battle Style. That's kind of the hidden difficulty mode of this game. I'll explain that a bit later, but I'm going to keep it on shift. I'm sorry, I'm weak. Admittedly, I'm kind of curious as to trying it on set at some point, but it wouldn't be in Pokemon Heart Gold whenever I do that, because that game's hard enough as it is. Alright, so here we have our computer. So the computer in our room only has two functions. Mailbox, which is basically useless because that's for multiplayer, and storage. So the thing about this game is item storage is a bit limited. Let's see, so normally you have 30 unique item slots, and then they can hold apparently 999 of each type of item. You can, however, keep 50 types of items in your PC as well.
I also want a poster next to the door in my room that says, "If you're confused, ask for help."
You just need that reminder sometimes. Okay, so this TV, unique TV, if you're playing as a girl you get this, which is a reference to Wizard of Oz.
Huh.
However, it's actually different if you're playing a male trainer. It's 4 boys walking on a railroad track, which is apparently a reference to Stand By Me.
Yes. That movie was incredibly popular in Japan. So it was in the original, like, Japanese versions of these games. Some people might think that it's just a neat little reference the localization team threw in. No, that's in the original. They just really like Stand By Me.
So here we have Daisy, the sister of our rival. She's not as much of a dick. And I believe she frequently has, I want to say, a Clefairy? Yes, Clefairy. I think even in like the manga and stuff like that, she actually has a Clefairy. Despite being a minor character, she sort of has a thing going on.
Kind of.
Of course, she probably is more prominent in the manga. This town's called Pallet Town because, of course, the towns in this game are more or less named after colors. So, you know, here's a starting one, so it's Pallet. Certainly are, little girls, certainly are. Anyway, let's go to the best NPC, the Technology's Incredible guy. He's in, like, every game. And he usually talks about, like, the latest actual advancements in the series, but he's fairly simple here.
We found a way to digitize matter. Like, I would be yelling that to random passerby on the street, too. That's insane.
This is wild! I can keep my pets in a computer! So if we go to Professor Oak's lab early, Hideki is just here and grumpy. But Professor Oak's not around. We also have Pokeballs right here. Don't know what's in them. Yep, that sure is what that does. I understand this a whole lot. Technology is my forte.
Wait, are we reading his mail? Why?
We're rude.
Don't read other people's email. I don't like it when people look at my screen in public. I would be so upset if somebody read my emails.
It's actually foreshadowing the Indigo League, but we're not going to be talking about that for a bit.
Also, there's the other weird thing where they kind of implied in the first game that the Pokédex was just a literal book.
I'm going to say no. No. No game. So anyway, what you need to do to progress is go over here, and Oak will prevent you from actually leaving, because you will die. We have been trapped in our town for years because we don't have a pet to get us through here. Also, it is such a weird introduction that he sounds like this is a spur-of-the-moment thing. Like, oh, you want to leave? I'll just take you over to my lab. You were looking for us, Oak. He's a very forgetful old man. Anyway, we're his favorite kid even though we're not related to him, so we get to choose Pokemon before Hideki does.
No, I think Professor Oak knows that choosing first is actually the fool's decision.
It's not like Tic-Tac-Toe where you just go for the corner right away. No, being second is actually worse. So anyway, we get our choice of Bulbasaur. I also like how he seems to critique you on your choices, because you got Bulbasaur, he's like, oh, that one's good to raise. Squirtle? That one's alright. I guess you could go with that. And then lastly we have Charmander. You should raise it patiently. You're going with Charmander, oh. I mean, I don't know about that choice.
You're gonna be at a type disadvantage for the first two gyms. I don't know if you ought to do that.
Anyway, I'm going with Squirtle. I usually stick with water types. Not always, but, you know, typically. And we're gonna name our Squirtle here...
Turt.
Good old Turt. No, it's Turtle Misu. Like tiramisu, but with a turtle instead.
That sounds horrible, by the way. Unless it's like those pecans with caramel, that kind of turtle, that'd be fine.
I would hope. So anyway, now that we have Pokemon, we can check its status. Turtle starts at level 5, which is nice. He also has a serious nature. Natures in general weren't actually in the original game. They're a new feature, and they actually determine your stat growths. Serious nature, though, is actually completely neutral, so nothing is actually affected, which can be an advantage, because it doesn't decrease anything you might want, but also probably not ideal, and I'm sure somebody else would reset.
Probably.
Alright, so we have our tutorial battle. It's, not the most exciting one, so we're just gonna be going over some basics. Basically, we can only hit each other right now. All of these starters have 2 different moves. Some sort of physical attack move that they can do damage with, and a stat effect move. Turtle has Tackle and Tail Whip. Tail Whip decreases defense. Bulbasaur here also has Tackle and Growl. Growl lowers attack. And Charmander, who we're not going to be seeing, has Scratch and Growl. Now, I'm pretty sure there are differences between Tackle and Scratch, and they've differed between generations, but I'm not gonna go into, like, super in-depth for the changes of moves throughout the series. They do damage, it's not a lot, you're gonna replace them in the long run. In addition, the battle style we saw earlier, not going to be relevant for this fight because Hideki only has 1 Pokemon, but basically, if you're on shift and the opponent has multiple Pokemon, when you defeat one, you're allowed to choose another Pokemon before the next enemy Pokemon comes out. If you choose set mode, the next Pokemon will just come out and you have to change yourself manually. So that can actually put you in some dangerous situations, or, you know, maybe it just removes a few extra steps that you didn't need anyway. Kinda depends. Excellent. Good job beating up my grandson. Now take his money.
It is always one of the weirder parts of Pokemon games that you always get money. Like, what is happening? What is this? Why are we gambling every single time?
We don't need stakes on that. No. No, you will absolutely give me cash if you lose.
Also, you'll give me cash if you win. I'm actually just robbing you. Because I have this terrifying creature with me.
I have a turtle, it could beat you up. Alright, so, if you want, you should go home to your mother, because if you talk to her, our Pokemon will be rested. Which you should, you know, do that since we just had a fight. So, now we're off to the next town over, and this is one of the weird archaic parts of the game, because if you've played other Pokemon games, you might notice we're missing a pretty crucial item now that we're going to Route 1. Also, you want to talk to this guy because he gives you potions. So, in addition to the one you can get from your computer, you can also get one from this guy. They restore 20 HP. So, Route 1's pretty simple. In fact, there are only 2 Pokemon to catch on it. And also nothing too complex in terms of actually moving around here. It's basically just teaching you how tall grass works. Anyway, here's a rat.
I was kind of hoping it would be a shiny. This is that nightmare situation where people are always worried they're going to find a shiny here.
I have not seen a shiny in years, but it would figure. And that takes care of that. So, yeah, at the moment, we're just beating up other animals, which is good for EXP. This is the one reason that I guess you don't have Pokeballs at this point, because it allows you to actually get a little bit of experience for your starter Pokemon. And, of course, here's the other Pokemon we can find down this route. Good old Pidgey. It's a bird. That a Pidge. One quality of life thing that I definitely miss from the later games, of course, is getting experience from catching Pokemon, because, man, they did start actually giving you Pokeballs, like, pretty much from the get-go later on in the series, but that just helped reinforce it. Oh, we did get Bubble, though. That's a pretty important attack because it's a Water-type attack. Don't know if I want to talk about attack typings right now. In fact, I probably won't, because we're in Viridian City. Woo.
We did it.
Ah, what a harrowing journey. This is also telling us about PP. You can only use moves so many times before your Pokemon gets exhausted. Alright, so healing in this game is simple enough. You find a Pokemon Center, you ask them to heal your Pokemon, and they do it. Man, isn't technology incredible? We can instantly heal all injuries of this small animal. Oh yes, and in addition, that computer in the corner now has a different function that our home computer didn't have. Currently, it will link to Unknown PC. Thank you for relaying that information, old man. We're not going to be using that yet, but Pokemon we catch can be sent to that box, whether we do it manually or if we have 6 Pokemon on our team. Any Pokemon we catch afterwards will be sent to the box. We won't be checking it out right now, though, because there's nothing in it. We cannot get to that man because there's a tree in the way. Don't go in that direction, by the way, not yet. It's probably not a great idea.
Probably not. You probably want to avoid tall grass as much as you can during this section.
Yeah.
For reasons I've already stated. You don't want the one time you encounter a shiny to be this.
Yep. Oh, also, I love this old man. I don't know why this happens! Just lay it down! You can't even go past him. He'll shout at you so hard you just decide to leave.
It's also not private property, that's a road. That's public, my dude.
I feel like he's more energetic despite apparently not having coffee. He needs to chill.
I think that is something they changed. I think in the original he's drunk.
That would make sense.
But I like him just being tired and cranky. It's also really funny.
So we can't get to that gym because of that old man, and that's the only reason we can't go to that gym. Definitely.
If only somebody given this man his coffee, we could get that gym badge already.
Yeah, I'm sure my single turtle could take on an army of Pokemon. Anyway, here's the tutorial house, so I guess real quick, this would be a good time to bring up one more thing that I don't think the game really covers, and that's physical type attacks and special attacks. Now, unfortunately, this isn't Gen 4, so whether a move makes contact or not depends on what type of move it is. Thus far, we've only had normal and water type attacks. As long as it does damage, normal, fighting, flying, ground, rock, bug, ghost, poison, and steel types all make contact because they're physical types. Meanwhile, special types include water, grass, fire, ice, electric, psychic, dragon, and dark. Now, again, in Gen 4 they actually changed this, so whether or not a move makes contact is actually based on the move itself, so it can, be a physical water type attack, which is kind of nice, lets the moves be more varied, just makes more sense in general.
So Thunder Punch finally uses Hitmonchan's actual good stats. Also, did you say Ghost was a physical type?
Apparently so. No, yeah. That, I'm always confused about how Ghost works in these games.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to, challenge you or anything, that's just incredibly baffling to me.
I made sure to look it up. I don't know. I feel like it should be physical, or special, rather. It would make more sense. But there's a number of reasons why Ghost type is just weird in this game, but we'll talk about that later. When it's more relevant, when a Psychic type is punching us in the face. For now, though, we have arrived at the item store. But we can't use it as an item store yet because this man has a quest for us. He's got a package for Oak and he wants us to deliver it. He won't let us buy stuff. So yeah, this is really weird, but they make you backtrack this soon into the game. Like, this is basically here to teach you about ledges, but that's just about it. It's kinda weird. See, check it out. We hopped a ledge.
It's hard to think about this game in terms of game design for me because I played it so many times before I cared anything at all about game design. So to me, it's like, of course you backtrack. That's just what you do in this game. What do you mean this game isn't literally set in stone and any decision they made could have instead be a different decision? It's absurd.
Like, I sort of get how it's set up because we went through the grass patches first in order to get experience, then we had an easy trip back, so that showed us how ledges work, but now we're going to be going back with a new addition. So, Oak got his package. No, we never find out what's in there. So he gets the parcel, and he says it's a custom Pokeball. But, like, that could mean a lot of different things.
It just has his face on it.
This is the Oak Ball. Doesn't have any different odds of catching Pokemon. I just like how it looks.
It's probably that one Pokeball that was super important and then never got opened.
Oh, the frickin' GS Ball or whatever from the anime?
Yeah, that was supposed to have Celebi in it, and then they decided to introduce Celebi a different way. They just pretended the ball never existed.
For a moment I thought you said Cell, and I don't know how to take that.
Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me, Pikachu. Well, too bad! I'm still alive!
And of course, Pikachu surprised face.
God.
So anyway, we have a Pokedex now that can store the information of Pokemon we've seen. However, we get more information if we actually catch them. We'll also get Pokeballs as well, meaning once we backtrack to Viridian again, we can actually catch Pokemon. I'm too old for this. I want to live vicariously through you two children.
Also, I'm too old for this. Now, for the entire rest of this game series, my age will not hinder me in the slightest.
I'm going to travel all over the world. I'm going to get a radio show in the next game. I'm A-okay.
I was the kind of kid who would have taken what Hideki just said at face value and not gone to his house.
Well, as it turns out, at Hideki's house, we're going to get one of the most important items in the game. So if we go in here, we noticed earlier that Daisy here had a map. That's lazy of him. God. Daisy, the only normal person in the family. So we get the town map. Now, all it does is just show you the world map, which is so-so in terms of usefulness for the average person. But, if we use it, it fades to black, meaning it's the perfect thing to use for editing. Thank you, Daisy.
Little peek behind the curtain.
We're just going to keep this registered basically forever. Anyway, one step into the grass and now we've been challenged by another rat. This one was just waiting for us.
I saw what you did to my brother.
I will avenge Remy. So basically how you catch Pokemon is, technically you can just throw a Pokeball at him, but even on the humble Rattata, it's probably not going to do anything unless you get lucky. But the more you injure a Pokemon, or if you give it a status effect, the more likely it is that you can catch it. Of course, different Pokemon also have different catch rates, but early on, their catch rates are going to be really generous.
Also, I'm already too used to Pokemon Let's Go mechanics. Because I heard you say, you can't just throw a Pokeball right out the gate, and I was like, the hell I can't.
Just watch me, I'm gonna throw a million Pokeballs at this thing. I'm motion controlling right now, and you can't stop me. So anyway, continuing on my naming gimmick, we're going to misspell Ratatouille because otherwise it wouldn't fit in the name box.
Despite knowing what your naming gimmick is, I was almost certain you were going to call her Ark.
Nobody's dating this rat. So anyway, I also forgot to mention earlier, I believe Bubble has the chance of lowering the enemy's speed.
Yes.
It rarely happens, but it can. Oh, yep, there we go. There was an on-screen example, perfect. Alright, so yellow HP for now should be good enough to catch a Pokemon with. Sometimes they'll be really stubborn and you'll need to get them to red HP, but of course that's risky because you might knock them out. Now, unfortunately, does not like to fight. Seems kinda cruel to make it do so then. But anyway. Unfortunately, we can't name this Pidgey, even though that's the best Pidgey name, because I got a gimmick to stick to. As much as I can, anyway.
Poor Pidge. This poor Pidge that we forced to fight when it clearly does not want to fight.
Oh, don't worry, it's not going to fight. It's just going to remain in a computer. Forever.
You will never be as online as this bird.
Oh, this poor Pidge guy is really nice. They don't like to fight at all. They just post really nice things.
Are you insinuating that poor Pidge is going to catfish someone?
I don't think they're gonna catfish anybody. I think they're just a good, wholesome poster.
Mm-hmm.
Ratatouille, on the other hand, will probably troll the hell out of somebody.
But, like, actually be funny.
So anyway, now that we can actually catch Pokemon, it's a good idea to come over to Route 22. Now, we can find a Rattata here, but, you know, I've already caught one, not going to use it anyway. Mankey, on the other hand, I very much would like, because Mankey's a fighting type. And therefore, I'm just going to get this ball of fuzz wet enough to fit into a ball. This Pokeball's going to smell terrible.
I really appreciate the simplicity of Mankey's design. It's just what if a circle got mad?
Also, 61.7 pounds, what the fuck?
Wait, hold on! It's a foot tall!
This is a very heavy ball of fuzz.
Well, I guess muscles, got a lot of... Muscle is heavy.
Anyway, Perry here is going to be a permanent member of our team, unlike the previous two Pokemon. That being said, I did have a naming scheme for all my main Pokemon as well, so technically Perry's food related, just don't ask me how because I forgot. Also, critical hit does extra damage. Very dangerous in certain situations. Anyway, though, Spearow here is also going to be a permanent member of our team. There are already two flying types, but I kind of like Spearow a bit more. Reason being is that move we saw her do, Peck. As we'll see in a moment, Peck is actually a flying type move. Pidge, I believe, just starts with Tackle. We don't get Mirror Move for a while, though, even though the description advertised it. Gonna name this Spearow Spearmint. Simple enough.
This video is not funded by Wrigley. We are not sponsored.
So yes, unlike Pidgey, Spearow actually starts with a flying type move, which is nice, given it's a flying type and all. Reason being is, same type attack bonus. You do damage with a move of the same type as your Pokemon, it'll do extra damage. Use that to your advantage all the time, forever.
I also kind of prefer Spearow to Pidgey, but that may just be because Pidgey is used a lot more in the media.
Just too much fame, you know? It's too popular.
Well, Spearow is the anti-hero of the two, obviously.
So anyway, the Pokedex, you can actually look up Pokemon in a number of different categories. You can look them up by number, by size, where they're located, and you can see a whole lot of information pertaining to them. However, in here, or in this search that we've used, we can't actually see Pokemon we haven't caught. We can see them on the Pokemon list, though, but we can't really see detailed information about them, because we've only seen a Bulbasaur. In addition, you can also see extra data about the Pokemon by pressing A. We can see its size, which is, you know, just a neat little detail. In addition, there's also the area, which is useless for Squirtle because we can't find extra Squirtles, but we can find Pidgeys around these areas.
I really appreciate the size comparisons because a lot of the media completely forgets about them and just makes them whatever sort of feels right.
Yep. But rest assured, some of them are tiny, and some of them are just huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we go, let's look over the two team members we're actually going to be using in the long run. Perry here has an impish nature, which means extra defense, but its special attack lowers, which is, you know, not the most useful, but also not bad at all. Defense is an odd stat, but neat. Meanwhile, we have Sassy Spearmint. Sassy will give Spearmint special defense up, speed down. Not exactly the most helpful, but not too bad either.
I'm just picturing this Spearow trying to do the Z-snap.
Just with its beak.
That's better as clicking its beak in Z formation.
Alright, so that's it for the first parts. Next time on Pokemon FireRed, we looked at that patch of grass, but what's beyond that?